Hello friends, today's topic is European heat wave. Just imagine, more than 600 firefighters and 6 water-dropping aircraft were battling the worst fire in 2 decades in Catalonia in June as Spain temperatures exceeded 40 degrees centigrade. In Berlin, a police unit turned water cannons, usually used against rioters, on city trees to cool them down. In June, thousands of schools were closed down, outdoor events cancelled, and volunteers were visiting the elderly at home as France and other European nations battled a record-setting heat wave baking much of Europe. The French National Weather Service activated its highest level heat danger alert for the first time, putting 4 regions around Marseille and Montpellier in the south of the country under Special Watch Friday. About 4,000 schools were closed because they couldn't ensure safe conditions. For the second time in less than 1 month, Europe is witnessing a widespread and intense heat wave. Many new records were set on July 25th in Belgium, France, Germany, Luxembourg and the Netherlands as temperatures passed the 40 degrees Celsius mark. The United Kingdom saw its hottest day in July. Paris registered 42.6 degree, 40.4 degrees centigrade in the Netherlands. It was 40 degrees centigrade in Brussels, and London had 36.9 degrees centigrade. National Meteorological and Hydrological Services have issued heat alerts and in some areas fire warnings to minimize the risk to life and the environment has been given. The July heat wave follows an unusually early and exceptionally intense heat wave in June, which set a new temperature records in Europe and ensured that the month of June was the hottest on record for the continent, with the average temperature of 2 degrees Celsius above normal. Several countries have reported record temperatures in June. The World Meteorological Organization said that temperature records for this time of the year have been broken in Germany. It has said that this week that 2019 was on track to be among the world's hottest years, and 2015 to 2019 would then be the hottest 5-year period ever. The summer of 2018 was the joint warmest on record for the UK as a whole and the hottest ever for England. The Met Office research showed that human-induced climate change made the 2018 record, breaking UK summer temperatures about 30 times more likely than it would have been naturally. By 2050, these are expected to happen every other year. France has also reported an increase in the frequency and intensity of heat waves over the past 30 years, according to Meteo France, in an observation echoed elsewhere in Europe. The regions of Europe that surrounded the Mediterranean Sea, including Switzerland, are affected by some of the most severe increases in temperature extremes worldwide. This trend has been apparent even over other decades and is very likely to continue into the future. The heat wave in Europe follows extreme heat episodes in Australia, India, Pakistan and parts of the Middle East in 2019. Now, you'll be wondering why this is happening. The heat wave in Europe is a result of warm air mass from Africa. An area of high pressure exists now over Sahara, and the winds emanating from high pressure areas of Sahara crosses Mediterranean comes to Europe. These winds are very high temperature and they affect the area they have traveled over. What is happening is that the temperatures are increasing every year. The heat wave is consistent with climate scenarios which predict more frequent, drawn out and intense heat events as greenhouse gas concentrations lead to a rise in global temperatures. Apart from heat waves, various climate models have been predicted alternating periods of prolonged droughts and heavy flooding in some areas. Every heat wave occurring in Europe today is made more likely and more intense by human-induced climate change. This is already published in a study that it is very likely that human influence has contributed to the observed global scale changes in the frequency and intensity of daily temperature extremes since mid-20th century by scientists at World Attribution on Human Contribution to Record-Breaking June 2019 heat wave in France. Urban growth and conversion of areas under concrete have compounded the problem. Now we will talk about the impact that is taking place and that is becoming more severe. We will talk about impact. Heat events kill thousands of people every year and often trigger secondary events such as wildfires, failures to electrical grids, etc. Heat stroke, dehydration, cardiovascular and other temperature-related disease are major health risks. During the ongoing heat wave, public transport was disrupted and authorities in many cities imposed limits on private cars to try to keep pollution in check. The searing weather has also degraded infrastructure across Europe. 2 nuclear reactors at a power plant in France shut down because the water they used for cooling became too hot. The heat forced trains to slow down in the UK due to risks of heat causing rails to expand. The weather may also have contributed to the breakdown of Eurostar train in Belgium on Wednesday that stranded more than 600 passengers in a sweltering tunnel for 2 hours. Heat is also threatening iconic landmarks like the 850-year-old Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. Its roof collapsed in a fire in April, but the cathedral's chief architect Philippe Villeneuve warned that high temperatures could dry out the church's fragile masonry and lead to more structural failures. Cyclists in the ongoing Tour de France have even strapped an ice vest to stay cool. A massive wildfire spanning 10,000 acres raged in Spain, sparked when a pile of chicken dung spontaneously combusted in the heat. The heat poses a risk to people's health, agriculture and the environment. It is the departure from normal or what people are used to that makes heat waves dangerous. Europe's ordinarily temperate climate makes it more vulnerable to extreme heat. A reading of 35 degrees centigrade, which many people in India would be able to cope with, but it can make people severely ill in Germany. Babies and older people are particularly vulnerable because their bodies are not able to regulate their own temperatures as those of young adults. High temperatures can cause exhaustion, heat stroke, organ failure, and even breathing problems. Countries in Europe are vulnerable to extreme heat for several reasons. One is that triple-digit temperatures are unusual across the continent. As a result, people aren't used to extreme heat and are unprepared to deal with it by staying hydrated or taking frequent breaks away from high temperatures. And because super high temperatures in Europe are so rare, buildings are not designed to cope with it. Air conditioning isn't common. Only 2% of German homes are air conditioned, and most homes and offices are designed to stay warm in European winters rather than passively cool off in scorching summers. Another factor in Europe's heat wave is that 72% of the population lives in cities and suburbs surrounded by heat-trapping concrete and asphalt. So people are densely concentrated in areas that warm up more than their surroundings. These heat islands continue to dissipate heat even after the sunset, so nighttime temperatures stay high. They poses another health risk since it means people have a harder time finding relief from the heat, adding to their cumulative heat exposure. People who already have an underlying condition like heat, blood pressure stand to suffer the most. Europe's ongoing heat wave is a reminder of just how vulnerable we are to extreme heat, even in wealthy parts of the world that have the resources to cope. And the risk of extreme temperatures are only increasing as populations grow and the climate changes. That's all for today. I will come with many new topics which will be affecting our world, our environment, and we must be aware of how much vulnerable we are in today's day. Thank you.